And there's going to be some mistakes. Definitely there's going to be some things that don't work or that are clunky, or that you know how to do better than I do, and feel free to politely give me suggestions, okay? But please do stick with this, because this actually is important. Even if you think you get everything, this is going to be a lot more important for your learning both this year and next year if you continue on with Spanish 3, or if you repeat or are incomplete on Spanish 2, God forbid. And maybe you're not my student. Maybe you're just somebody else who was granted access to this. And you can also be scarred by the trauma that is being a student of Profe Dorsch. So, a divertirnos con complementos. I will have fun. I don't know that you will, but I will have fun. Now, I want that tool back. So, la primera cosa que vamos a hacer es un repaso de los pronombres o los complementos. I know that a lot of you have trouble with direct object and indirect object pronouns, and that is absolutely normal. However, I would like to eliminate some of that. So, direct objects receive the action of the verb. Recibe la acción del verbo. So, I hate cheese. Cheese is the direct object. It's exactly what I hate. My mother gave me flowers. Very proud of my African violets. Ay, miren. Okay. Flowers are what are being given. Well, in English, our direct objects are me, you, him, her, it, us, you, and them. I hate you. I don't. I miss him. I bought it. You hate me. You adore me. Much more likely. In Spanish, you should be very well aware of these. Me, te. Him would be lo, or it if the thing is masculine. Her would be la, or it if the thing were feminine. If I'm talking to you formal, let's say the Queen of England comes over and I say, oh, I just adore you. Then I would say la adoro. I adore you. From the context, she knows that the la means you formal, not my vacuum cleaner. Nos is us, os is all y'all, but only in Spain. Los, las is them. And then, of course, los or las is also you all, ustedes. So these two are in a separate line because it is you formal and you plural. That is something that you should know from week 2, maybe even week 1 of Spanish 1, but for some reason it's still problematic for kids. So I am highlighting that. All right, indirect objects. In English, generally, you can replace them with 2 or 4. So my mom gave me flowers can be restated, my mom gave flowers to me. That's the test. You know that me is the indirect object because she isn't giving me. I'm not some sort of bride that's being given away by her parents. So me, you, him, her, it, us, you, them is the same. The indirect and the direct object pronouns are the same in English, which is a little bit why you have trouble distinguishing between the two, because if you weren't taught it explicitly as grammar in use, they sound the same. In Spanish, me, te, nos, and os is always used, whether it be direct, indirect, or reflexive. It's the bottom ones that are tricky. So, and those are the people that aren't around, right? So it's less clear from context. We need a little more information. So if it's to him, to her, or to you formal, for him, for her, for you formal, etc., then it's going to be le. And then the plural of that, them, to them, for them, on behalf of them, or all y'all, is les. So I might say, yo les doy mucha información. I give to all of you a lot of information. I give you, plural, a lot of information. Yo les doy mucha información. Remember, object pronouns go right before the conjugated verb. Let me emphasize that for like the millionth time. Where do object pronouns go? Right before the conjugated verb. Look I even put on emphasis eyebrows just to make sure that you know. Reflexives are There we go. Mete se nos osan se. And that's oneself, right? We already know that. I wash myself, right? Me lavo las manos. Ustedes se lavan las manos. And the command was lávense las manos. We'll get to that in a review form in a second. Let's go to the next slide. Doop-de-doo, la la la. So, in practice, voy a pedir una paella para la mesa. I could have said para nosotros, for us. That makes more sense. I'm going to order a paella for us. So if I'm just replacing paella, voy a pedirla. For example, my friends and I often fight about who's going to pay for things when we go out to eat. I'm going to order it. Remember, a verb phrase is inviolate. You may not trespass. It's like the mines in the Fellowship of the Ring, and Gandalf is talking to the Balrog, and he says, "You shall not pass." Remember, I've used the example of a covalent bond in chemistry, a church marriage that you don't want to break up, let no man come between them, or World War I, trench warfare. Inside the verb phrase is no man's land. You got, Germans over here, and you've got, Australians over here, and it's Gallipoli, whatever. You don't want to put any object pronouns in the middle, but you have the choice of putting them right before the conjugated verb or on the end of an infinitive, which I often have used the term magnetic butts. Infinitives and ondo y endo both have magnetic butts. So, voy a pedirla, la voy a pedir, la being la paella. With gambas and mejillones, arroz, azafrán, pollo es posible, espárragos o habichuelas verdes, no estoy segura, etc. Now, if I'm ordering it for us has to be nos. Remember the ID. Your indirect always comes first. So you have to put the indirect before the direct. I'm going to order us it. Voy a pedirnosla. Nos la voy a pedir. They're equal. They're equally good. In this case right here, I've changed the length of this verb, so I need to add an accent mark because, as I have said many times, the spoken word always trumps the written word, right? Always, 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 you need to maintain the pronunciation of the original word. Be faithful. Papá, compre un flan para mí. Buy a flan for me. Now, this is a very formal child. Despite her demands, she's using the usted command to show respect for her father. Papá, compre un flan para mí. So we know that flan is the direct object. It's what she's saying she wants purchased. That's going to be direct object, lo. Para mí, that's going to be indirect object. For me becomes me. Right? And which one comes first, indirect or direct? It's indirect. Now, affirmative commands are the third and final thing which you can put an object pronoun on the end of, right? So infinitives have magnetic butts, ondo y endo have magnetic butts, but you have options. Affirmative commands have super glue butts. You have to add the pronouns on the end of an affirmative command if you're going to replace any object with a pronoun. So I can say compre me un flan, or I can say compre lo para mí. So I can replace either one, but those object pronouns have to go on the end of the command. There's no choice, okay? So the dad, in this case, is answering, and that's where he's using pronouns. Hija, daughter, ya estoy comprándotelo. The verb phrase is estoy comprando, I am buying. Ya just means already. Estoy comprando, I'm buying you it. magnetic butts. These are not commands. So you have the choice of sticking the indirect and the direct right before the conjugated verb. Up here, if she said, buy it for me, cómpramelo, that has to be added, okay? So, hija, ya estoy comprándotelo. Hija, ya te lo estoy comprando. In most cases, when you're in natural conversation, you'll do it this way, but one is not superior to the other. This just means you've thought out what you're saying more. However, if it's written, you need to add the accent mark. Otherwise, this would read, hija, ya estoy comprándotelo. Comprándotelo is a very unwieldy sounding word in Spanish. It does not sound like Spanish at all. So make sure your emphasis is on your right syllable. Now, my favorite part that most teachers hate to teach, but I love it. Lay is a nerd. Lace is a nerd. Look at them. They're nerdy looking words, but they oftentimes have better looking girlfriends and boyfriends, as many nerds do. So you've got lay and lace going with a direct object of la, las, lo, or los. Unfortunately, society does not respect that. It's a major clash. So you have es cacophonia. Sorry, I'm speaking Spanglish. Cacophony between the two sounds, le, la, lo, la, lo, la. You can't lay low in Mexico, as one of you said. So what you have to do is, these nerds are like Clark Kent. They go into a little hypothetical phone booth and they change out of their streetwear into their superhero costume. You get something called the spurious say, which is my favorite name for any grammatical term. It means fake. It means the fake say. It's a lie because it's not say, the command, be good, sé bueno. It's not say, reflexive pronoun, lávense las manos. It's not say, like with an accent mark, I know, yo lo sé. It's lay and lace in costume, okay? That little S is like a cape. So when you have a direct and an indirect object and they're both third person, the indirect object has to change. It just has to. So in this particular relationship, he has to change. Let's move on. Let's apply it. Vamos a aplicarlo. Lo vamos a aplicar. Voy a enseñar la gramática a ustedes. I'm going to teach grammar to you. Again, I can replace whatever I want. I'm going to teach it to you. I'm going to teach grammar. Well, teach you grammar. Either way, I can say I'm going to teach you it. I'm going to teach it to you. So I've got a couple of permutations here. La voy a enseñar a ustedes. What did I replace? Grammar, right? I could also say voy a enseñarla a ustedes. I have options. Just don't violate this sacred space of the verb phrase. Voy a enseñarles la gramática. In this case, I replaced a ustedes. I replaced to you all. I'm going to teach you all grammar, the grammar. I could also say les voy a enseñar la gramática. If I want to say both, if I want to say I'm going to teach you it, then I have to change that lace. It's the spurious say. Voy a enseñársela. I'm going to teach it to you. I'm going to teach you it. All y'all. That's really lace in its superhero costume. It. And again, if I just have this with no accent mark, I've got voy a enseñársela. And that is not Spanish. Very unwieldy. You need to preserve the pronunciation because the spoken word always trumps the written word. Voy a enseñársela. Alrighty. A cocinar. Let's cook. This is a mistake I meant to correct. Whoops. This should say, so don't even look at it. That should say oigan. Oigan, cocineros. In fact, I'm going to change it right now because I can, because I'm not in the presentation mode I was in before. Well, you can watch me edit in real time, sort of. There we go. Much better. Oigan, cocineros. Hey means listen, hear. Cooks, carry the potatoes, bring the potatoes to the chef. So You have your subject, which is the cooks. You have a command, because this is from llevar, bring. The potatoes are what are going to be brought, so that is the direct object, to the chef, which would be the indirect object. So replace these bad boys. Verb stays the same, bring. Bring him, them, really. But in this case, las patatas becomes las, direct object. Chef would be le, but he's very nerdy and he's being called upon to do something heroic. So he needs to change in the nearest phone booth. Right now he's in Great Britain in the 1980s. And he comes out as say. Now, affirmative commands, you have no choice. You cannot put it here. Lleven plus say plus las. I should have done better animation. You have to squish it all together. It's very squishy. So it becomes llévenselas. Bring him, them. I added a please to be polite. Llévenselas, por favor. Bring him them. And of course, you know from context what all of this means. You wouldn't just say this and the chefs would understand or the cooks would understand what you were talking about. Okay. Now, in the future, I have this kind of set up with Pear Deck. So you would actually log on with a code, much like you would with Kahoot or something. And you are going to drag an icon. I actually put stars instead of dots, but you're going to drag the dot or the star to the sentence that means or that follows the first one. So amigos, traigan regalos para las mamás. Bring presents for your moms or for the moms. So what's the direct object? Presents. Indirect, moms. So this would be lace. This would be los. You can't say lace los. So what does mom become? What do the moms become? Instead of lace, they become say. So you can eliminate any of these that doesn't have a say in it. So not that one, not that one, not that one. So you're left with 3. Traigan se las. No las se traigan. Oh, sorry, 4. No se los traigan and traiganselos. Well, bring the gifts for the moms. That's affirmative. So you know the pronouns have to go on the end and you know that there's no because it's affirmative. So it has to be either traiganselas or traiganselos. What are gifts? Los, right? So you know it has to be this one. Traiganselos. Again, you've changed the length of the word. Without an accent mark, it would be traiganselos, which sounds like some sort of jealousy thing. So you need an accent on the second to the last syllable of the original command. And for those of you who don't remember how to make commands, please see my previous video stuff and practices that I've been asking you to do. This is the end of this particular presentation. I'm going to try to do a trickier thing next time, but I'm going to do another slideshow that is all just interactive and have you guys try to break it so that I can see if it will work in the future. All right, thank you very much. And I guess I better say adios in person. Sort of. Adios.